Hello, my name is Alistair and I am the person who's going to be doing all of the Fusion 360 CAD modelling tutorials for the University of Surrey. So the first one we're going to do is the tutorial block, and we are going to be modelling this model right here. And before we do that, we're just going to learn the UI of Fusion 360, and by making this block we're going to be learning and going over the very fundamentals, going over sketch, extrude, fillet and chamfer in that order, as you can see displayed by this little timeline here. We do the sketch with these dimensions, extrude it upwards, extrude it again to get the circular section, and then finally fillet and chamfer. So without further ado, let's get started. When you first open up Fusion 360, you're going to get a workspace that looks a lot like this, and it has a lot of buttons, and you might start clicking them, but don't worry. It's very organised, and we'll go through all of the different parts of Fusion 360, which roughly splits up into 8 main categories, with the first one being the application bar. So if you move your mouse up to the top left, you will see 4 different things. You'll have the data panel, file, save, and then your undo and redo. The data panel shows all of your different projects that you've done in Fusion 360, and it's all stored to the cloud. So I've been using Fusion 360 for 6 or 7 years, so I've got a lot of projects. But for you, you might not have any projects to start off with. So when you do make this tutorial block, I would recommend creating a new project by clicking this and then renaming it to maybe something based around Surrey. After that, we have file, where you can save, import and export, and then you have your own save icon here, and you can undo, redo. Control Z also works, so if you do something in Fusion 360 that you don't want to do, you can always just Control Z, and that will undo your past action. Then on the top right, you have your profile and help bar. This is where you can keep your extensions, where if you do end up going to use Fusion 360 in the industry, you might have access to some of these. But for now, since we're using the education license version, we probably don't have access to these. Then you have the view job status, which essentially tells you if you're working online or offline, and also if you need to update Fusion 360. You've also got the notification center, which can tell you when kind of background processes are done, like maybe a render or generating technical drawing or an FEA simulation. Then you've got search help if you've got any more questions, and then your own Autodesk account, where you can then change your preferences, look at your profile, etc, etc. You've then got the processes bar, which is this big rectangle here with all of your different processes. It starts off with your workspace. So for instance, I'm in design right now, but you can go into generative design, render, animation, so on and so forth. The ones you'll be using in this module will be design and then drawing. And then after here, we've got all of our different processes split up very neatly into create, modify, assemble, configure, so on and so forth. And this is just the solid modeling environment. So if you then click surface, all of your processes change. Same thing if you go to mesh, sheet metal, so on and so forth. We are just looking into solid modeling though, so make sure that this is selected and underlined. Next up, you have the view cube. So that is on the top right. So as you can see, this cube here. This is used for moving and panning, essentially, pivoting around your model in Fusion 360. So as you can see, I've got my origin here, which is like the datum for this virtual workspace. And if I click and move around this view cube, you can see how the camera then pivots around it. Very easy. If you do end up losing your origin, so for instance here, and I look around and I can't find it, you can just go up to this little home icon here, click it, and then it should take you right back to the center. If you still can't see it, it might be because you've zoomed out too much. So as you can see, I've zoomed out a lot here, and I can't see it anymore. But as soon as I zoom in, it comes back into view again. Next up, we have a browser, which is on the left. And this essentially just says all of the different things that are part of this virtual workspace. And at the moment, you have all of your name views, so that's part of the view cube, and then your origin as well. By selecting these kind of eye icons, you can toggle visibility on and off for them. So for instance, I can get rid of these planes here by just clicking these, and now I only have the origin and your XYZ axis. This also holds stuff like processes. So for instance, if I were to just quickly do a sketch here and then do an extrusion, it not only saves this sketch, but also the body as well, as you can see. Next up after that is the canvas and marking menu. So if you right click on your mouse button, you will get pretty much a summarized version of all of the different processes and tools that Fusion has to offer, including some of your movement tools like pan, zoom, constrained orbit. You can also change your workspace and have easy access to some of your process and some of your modeling tools. So let's start modeling this tutorial block. The first thing we're going to do is save this virtual workspace. So by moving our mouse to the top left, we can left click this save icon. And so we can save this virtual workspace not only in the project folder, but also in any kind of sub-assembly subfolders. So for instance, I've got assemblies and separate components folder in the Surrey CAD tutorial. So I'm going to save this tutorial block, if I just rename it, in the separate components folder in the Surrey CAD tutorial project. So once I've saved, we can now start modeling. So to start off, we are going to sketch. So to do that, we're going to move our mouse to the top left and left click this create sketch icon. As soon as I do that, I then need to apply this create sketch to a flat face. So I'm going to apply it to the ZX plane, which is this. So I'm going to left click this, and that should bring my camera view to look directly down onto it. Now, the technical drawings show that, the sketches, sorry, show that it's a rectangle with two circles. So we should probably get started by doing a rectangle. Now there's different ways we can do a rectangle, like for instance there's a left point, right point, well 2 points, then you've got a 3 point, then you've got a center rectangle point, just like that. But the way we want to do this is be able to set the datum to make it as easier as possible. And because we've got extra circles like this, it would be easier if we all had one place so that we had to reduce the amount of dimensions added. So that means I will be doing the center point rectangle, which is this. So I'm just going to Control Z all of this so I can go from scratch again. So to go from create, I'm going to go into rectangle, center point rectangle, and then select the origin. So that's left click. Then once I've done that, I'm going to move my mouse outwards and left click again, and that should create a rectangle. However, it's still not constrained. So if I left click and then hold down one of the corners and move about, as you can see, it still moves around because there's no dimension set to it. But let's just get all of the other shapes in first. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time for a circle. So you're going to select the center diameter circle, left click that, select the origin, then move your mouse outwards again, left click again, then select left click the origin, and then move your mouse outwards again and left click. Then to get out of this sketching mode, you can just click escape. So now that now we're going to start dimensioning this, because as you can see, I can still move and drag these about and they're still blue. So you're going to move your mouse over to the create tab and then left click the sketch dimension. The height is 50 millimeters, so you're going to click this vertical line, left click again and change this to 50, then select enter. And we need to change this horizontal line to 80. So left click and select 80, then enter. And you can see by doing that, we're now constraining the sketch. So if I try to move around this rectangle, it's now no longer moving. And we can also see that the line has turned from blue, which is unconstrained and movable, to black, which is constrained and not movable. So now we're just going to constrain these two circles. So to do that, same thing again, go into create, sketch dimension, and select the circle. Left click and select 20 millimeters as the interior diameter, and then select the outside diameter to be 30 millimeters. Then select enter. Now you're going to click escape and then select finish sketch. And by doing that, our sketch is now done. So the next thing we need to do is now extrude this 2D sketch into a 3D model. And to do that, we're going to move our mouse over to the create tab, left click extrude, and then select these two profile faces. Once you've done that, you're then going to extrude it 20 millimeters upwards. So as you can see, I've moved the mouse up and it's creating a new body as its operation. And I'm going to change the value to 20 millimeters and then click OK. Now that I've done that, I'm going to toggle the visibility of my sketch on again, because as I just used the extrusion tool, Fusion's gone, okay, yeah, you don't need to use it again, but we do need to use it again. So by toggling visibility on for that sketch, we can then use it again. So same thing again, go to extrude, but this time only selecting this face here, and you can extrude it up by 40 millimeters, but you can already see that it's turning red, meaning the operation is cutting. So if I were to just quickly select OK, you can see that it's cut into the object. So if I move back into my timeline, you can see the effect that it's had on the model. So if I just edit that, I can then change that to join, and that is fine. Another way you could also model this is by selecting our starting profile plane, is by changing our start place. So instead of our profile plane, which is the sketch, we could instead change it from extent type, which is starting from an object, and instead by starting it from this vertex here. And you can see it's now changed from 40 millimeters from this bottom sketch to 40 millimeters from this top surface. So I can then change this to 20 millimeters. Both are absolutely fine though. It's completely up to you how you want to model. In Fusion 360, there are many ways to model one singular object, but we'll see in the next few videos how you can determine the best way to model. Anyway, so once you've done that, you can click OK, and the only things we've got left to do is to fillet and to chamfer. So to move our mouse, so to do that, we're going to move our mouse over into Modify, left click that, and then left click the fillet. Then we're going to left click this interior 90-degree angle and change this fillet value to 1 millimeters. Now we're going to just left click this OK button, which is on the fillet toolbox, and that is the fillet done. So a few more things left to do. Go into Modify, left click chamfer. Now while we could select each individual chamfer like that, it would take a lot of time. So to do that, we're just going to click, hold and drag over everything, and that's going to select every single edge. So I'm going to change that to 1 millimeter, left click OK, and now that is the model done. However, to clean it up, we could just toggle visibility of the sketches, toggle visibility of the origin, and then left click this save icon to save everything together. And now that is the tutorial block done.